Replacing the water pump on a 2014 Audi A4. Start by removing coolant reservoir. These two nuts, these two lines up top. One large hose at the bottom, and then the level sensor plugs into the bottom, and then you just pull that right up. Now that that's out of the way, you remove the throttle boot. It goes down the intercooler, and the throttle. Just unplug it, and then there's 4 Torx fasteners. Alright, now unplug this, undo this screw. It's also a 30 Torx. Undo these plugs here, these 3 plugs, and then these 2 Torx screws. Now you're going to want to move this bracket out of the way. Just pull all these just slide right out. So pull all of those plugs out, slide that out of the way. Undo your purge valve electrical connector. Alright, now that that's out of the way, you're going to want to unplug this plug right here, and then pull this 13mm nut for this brace, and at the bottom there's a triple square for that same bracket that you're going to want to remove. Alright, now you're going to want to put a tray underneath and pull the lower radiator hose and the upper radiator hose. They both connect to this water pump assembly. They're kind of hard to see, but there they are. You just pull those clips up and then wiggle them a little and they pop right off. I just take those hoses and push them out of the way once they're disconnected. Make sure your spring clips stay in place on your, clip them back down. And then you're going to want to pull this hard plastic line off. This line right here. There's a Torx fastener that holds it to the water pump assembly, kind of underneath. And then there's another one back here. Alright, both of those Torx fasteners are removed. Now I just follow this rubber hose right here, right to the auxiliary water pump, and disconnect the top hose on the auxiliary water pump. With that disconnected, you can just pull this hard plastic pipe right out of the front of the water pump. You can kind of mess with it a little bit and pull it out of the way. You just want to get it up over here so it's not blocking your access to the water pump. Now that you can actually see the water pump, you're going to want to disconnect the temp sensor right there and pull the 2 fasteners off for this back cover. One Torx there and one right there. Once the cover's off, you're going to want to slide the belt off that back sprocket. It's pretty easy to do. Just get a flat blade screwdriver right here and just push it off. Okay, now you want to undo these 5 fasteners. This, and these 2. Okay, I removed it. Here's the assembly. This one is leaking from where the water pump attaches to the housing itself. Usually they leak at the engine. This is also leaking slightly here. They actually break the plastic where it attaches, where the O-ring attaches, the groove. Right here you can see. That's the most common way these leak, but this one you can see there's residue where it was also leaking around the water pump housing. What we've been doing is, when you're reinstalling the water pump, you want to make sure you get a new union pipe. This is where the pump plugs into the oil cooler. The oil cooler, the main oil cooler for the engine. This is where it gets its coolant from. So you want to make sure you put some brake grease on your new union pipe, or whatever kind of rubber friendly grease you want. Put it on there and then slide it into place. You want to tighten all the water pump bolts to the engine by hand. Don't use any power equipment. There's dowel pins, so you're best off just tightening them all by hand. Alright, the new pump is bolted into place. The only thing that is a little bit tricky when you're putting this back together is getting that drive belt back on. What I like to do is, if you can get you just grab it with your hands and you can get it over those fins, and then you can put a socket on the crank and just turn it over and it'll walk right into place if you can get that belt. close to where it needs to be. That's all you really need to do. That's when you start turning it, it'll just walk right on. Alright, belt is in place. It's very important on these to turn the crankshaft clockwise, never counterclockwise. The timing chains, they potentially jump teeth if you go counterclockwise, so make sure you just turn that clockwise and it walks right on really nice. And just put it back together like you took it apart.